Welch of Clay Sand Straw Design Build out of Austin, Texas. And we are making a video today for our friends out at the Dene Reservation in Arizona. Wheatfields area, they're building a kitchen to support a ceremony, Sundance ceremony out there. And we want to do the next phase in their project, which is to put roundwood beams on top of roundwood posts. And this requires a little bit of a technique, which I want to demonstrate today. A couple important things about what we are trying to achieve that are not necessarily important to this project, but are very important at the Bear Mountain project are two things. The first is that the top of the beam needs to be level, and it needs to be at a specific height to catch rafters. The other thing is that the connections between the beam and the top of the posts have to be fully structural. So by that I mean that two surfaces have to touch in a parallel way. And since we're doing several notches on one beam, the challenge here is that all of those flat places that we're creating have to be exactly parallel to each other. We don't want them to, one notch to be like this and one notch to be like that. Then it creates problems with our posts. So we're gonna start by setting up our beam and assessing our beam, and then we're gonna go to the posts and we're gonna cut the post level. We have 3 posts in the circumstance. We're gonna cut the post level and get the tops of them perfectly level as well. And then we're gonna come back to the beam and notch the beam so that it will just sit right on top of the post. First try, hopefully. So first, the setup. You can see we have something interesting here. We call it a log horse. And the point of this, it's a sawhorse, but it's in an X formation with just one extra leg for support. And the point of this is so that when I put something that's round on top of it, I can choose my orientation without that log continuing to rotate. So this is how because when I'm working with roundwood, I want it to be in a certain orientation, and I want it to just not subtly roll one way or the other without me being intentional about that. So sitting in that X keeps the log in the orientation that I want it. And you only need really one of those. Lots of times we work with 2 just because they're easy, but in this case we just have one inset on a wheelbarrow. It works. This piece of wood here is a piece of cedar, and it's been laying on the ground for a little while, so it's got some rot and what have you. It will serve for our purposes to demonstrate the technique that I want to show. Alright, so we established the depth of our cuts, which is 5 inches from the top. And I made the mark here. And now I'm making a horizontal line. Check that. Alright, and 5 inches down. Okay, you want to make your horizontal cut line? Okay, now we're going to move the log, which is okay. We can always put it back in exactly the same position again by making those lines horizontal again. So what we're going to do is we're just going to connect the edges of our line with a chalk line. Let's see. Alright, so now we're going to do the other side. If you need to, take your level or your square and extend the line up, or use your eyeball. Yeah. The posts are all going to get notched. The notches are all going to reach to that string line. So now we need to go cut the posts. I'm going to start with the middle post, and I'm going to make all these posts level with each other. And I want the top of this post to be level also to match with the levelness that we're going to create on the beam there. So to make a level cut on the top of the post needs to be set in exactly the orientation that it wants to be in. It is important to check if you're going to connect all 3 of these posts with one beam that we should really put a string line from this post all the way to that post and make sure that they're in line. And now I'm going to cut a horizontal surface on the top of this post so it's ready to, and then we're going to level off this one to go either side. So I just have my little bullet level and I just level up and I just start making, I just start working my way around, just keep using that bullet level. Now we're going to check it. It's pretty good. Just got a little high spot on the back here. About 1/8 of an inch, but that's pretty easy to just take the sander wheel on the grinder and grind it down. Post at the right height first, and then we're going to go cut the beam. That's pretty good. Okay, so I want to show you what I'm going to do at the top of the post is I'm just going to square off the sides of the post, which makes it a lot easier to measure in the direction perpendicular to the beam. So if this is the center line of the beam right here, I'm doing a line perpendicular there, and at 5 inches, another line perpendicular over here. And then I'm gonna cut this off, and I'm gonna cut this off just about 1.5 inches down, something like that. And that gives me a nice even piece. And I'm going to make my notch exactly that wide on the beam. Okay, so I use the bullet level to make this line horizontal by just rolling the log back and forth till I got it back in the right place. So now this line is horizontal again. So I want all of my notches to be horizontal also, and that will make sure that they're all in the same plane. Distance from outside of post to outside of post is 121 1/4. So I have the tape measure set up to 121 1/4, and I've got it roughly centered where I want it on this log. So I'm going to mark that here. This one was 121 1/4 to 115 1/4. So that's the dimension of my notch this way. And this one goes from 0 to 5. I'm going to go ahead and take a handsaw, and I'm going to make a cut, and I'm just going to connect, I'm going to cut till I reach this from this chalk line, and then I have another chalk line on the other side, and then this chalk line to the other side. And then, now that I've got my sides done, I'm just going to make some so that it's easier to chisel out material. really good for just cleaning out these notches. Have to keep checking level. It's pretty good.